Happy Sunday, everybody. This week, we're going to talk about the ways we have changed in our nomad life, and there are changes that might happen to you too. Stay tuned.
Hi there, we're Chris and Steve from Eat, Walk, Learn. We're an early retired couple who left our corporate America jobs in May of 2021. We sold everything, including our home in Denver, Colorado, and all the things in it, plus our cars, just so that we could travel the world full time. Everything that was left we put into our 2 carry-on suitcases so we can travel lightly around the world. Would you please take a moment to subscribe and like? We share our tips from our nomad life, take repositioned cruises to get from continent to continent, and we enjoy gorgeous hikes in beautiful places around the world. We also try to eat vegan as often as we can. We hope you'll enjoy reading one of our latest books, including 50 Hikes in 50 States, or our bestseller, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan. You can pick them up on Amazon next time you're there. Please follow us on social so you can join us every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for sharing our adventure with us.
Where are we?
We are in Tacoma Park, Maryland, enjoying our nation's capital. We're here at a house sit. We've been back in the United States for a couple of weeks now and just really having a ball and excited to tell you about maybe some of the ways that full-time travel can change you for the better, maybe.
And for the better.
So, we thought we'd have a little chat and why don't
look at you're a Patriots fan today. Last week we were Mountaineer fans, and now we're Patriot fans.
You can tell I'm in Washington D.C.
With the Patriots? New England?
It is. That was a joke.
Okay, got it. Oh, sorry, I missed it. All right. Well, I'm drinking water as usual, but we're trying this chat with you style where we're just sitting on the couch having a little chit chat, and we hope you're sitting around with us having a little chit chat too. And we're going to jump into 9 ways we've changed. So number 1, we've got some fun titles. So we're going to flash up some titles here. You can speak the language. What does that mean? Have we changed our language?
Well, so definitely stay tuned for our last one. But the first one, I think, was one of my biggest fears about becoming a full-time traveler and going to countries where I didn't speak the language and being in situations where, I was going to be.
Yeah, but how have you changed?
I've changed. So simply how I've changed is we've been all around the world and no problem. And I've become really good with sign language. And even if you don't speak a language, it's okay. People will help you out. And one of the things that we do when
there's lots of English everywhere.
Yeah, we get to a new country is we learn a few words like please, thank you, hello, good morning. It's amazing how far that takes you. And then when you really need something, people will help you out. And you figure things out. Language is not a barrier.
So you used to have the fear that you weren't going to be able to communicate. And now you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. It will work out. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2. I love this one. This is kind of my little pet peeve, but the water will not kill you. So we've all heard, don't drink the water. Go to Mexico, don't drink the water. Go to Italy, don't drink the water, or whatever. We have learned. So we used to have this real fear about water, and we were real precise about water. And I mean, in the States, you just drink it out of the tap. You don't really think about it, which is quite a privilege. But as we traveled around, in most places, we traveled around, we get all the bottled water, and we do the iron or the iodine droplets, or clean the water, or filter water, whatever. What we've learned is that we may have been a little bit uptight about water, and we realized that no matter how good at cleaning your water and boiling your water and filtering your water you are, you're not going to be perfect. So one little drop at the restaurant that you thought was perfectly safe, may put you under. So
so one of the things we do is we might boil the water, right? So we'll get the water out of the tap and boil it in a pot or in a kettle. And then another thing that we do is we've got straws that we use that filter out any things like the heavy metals that you might be concerned about. But then it's really, you
just do your best.
Just do your best.
Yeah.
And, the idea of using plastic water, buying water bottles and throwing away the plastic, that's a problem. So we want to be environmentally conscious. We also want to be healthy and safe. Mm-hmm. And we found that being able to drink the water around the world is not a problem. We are here to tell you.
And we have survived. We have survived drinking the water around the world with boiling and filtering, and probably accidentally having tap water that we shouldn't have drunk, or getting soup that maybe wasn't boiled to a hot temperature or whatever. Um, we're not as concerned about water as we were when we first left the States, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Number
Related. Number three.
Number three. We're eating some really weird food. So this is a big topic. Steve and I, as we're getting prepared for this video, we talked about this for probably a good 20 minutes. It's food and eating out and all that stuff.
Being vegan or vegetarian or whole
gluten-free or all these. So in the States, there's a lot of labeling around how people eat. We are labeled as either whole food, plant-based, or vegan, or vegetarian, and those labels are fine. We're not passing judgment on labeling, but what we find as we go around the world, the labeling Europe has some of it, but labeling just doesn't really exist in the rest of the world, or they don't label the way Americans do. So you might go to a restaurant, like now, if you go to a restaurant in the States, you'll see a V or a plant or a wheat thing or some sort of labeling on the menu, or even when you go to Europe, they've got a standardized way it's a numbered system, like 1 through 12 or something, if it's got egg or if it's got beet or whatever. The rest of the world doesn't really do that in a systematic way. So a lot of people ask us, what's it like to be vegans, or what's it like to eat whole plant as you travel around the world? And it's more difficult because they don't have the systems that we have. But it's not that you can't find good vegan restaurants or good vegetarian restaurants, but it's not, and you can use apps like Happy Cow and so on. But in general, your standard issue restaurants are not going to be diet sensitive, dietary type sensitive. Doesn't mean you can't find it, you can't ask for it, but it's just different. So when we go into a restaurant, half the time we don't know what it like. We went into, here's a good example. I went to New Zealand once, and being vegan, I thought mincemeat meant that it was mincemeat pie, which is like raisins and apples and walnuts, right? I get a mince pie and it's lamb. So I was like, oh, my lamb pie. Oh boy.
Different definition.
Yeah. So you don't really quite know what you're going to eat. And then
I like the example when we first got to Kuala Lumpur, and right across the street from our condo was a restaurant that said vegetarian across the top of the sign.
In English. It was great.
In English. Mm-hmm. And we went in and it was like, oh, well, they might have a couple of vegetarian items on the menu, but what that really meant was there are vegetables in
served with the
food.
Meat. So you have some sort of curry or whatever, and it had vegetables in it along with the lamb or the beef or whatever.
It was a good sign that we were going in the right direction, but we still, had to be careful of, what it was.
And then remember that one time that we were, I think it was Malaysia too, we were going for street food, and there was a picture of something and it looked like it was noodles. And I picked it and ended up being fried bananas with chocolate sprinkles. So, you just you do the best that you can do, or we do the best that we can do. What's also been fun is we're going to all the fresh markets. Like in the past, we would go to Target or Whole Foods or Albertsons or, whatever state we lived in, and just go to the grocery store chain and get your bananas and fruits and oranges and, your typical stuff, cauliflower and broccoli. Now we're going to the fresh market, and first of all, we're meeting the people who grow the food, which in the States, I guess, you could do that at the fresh markets on Saturdays or whatever, but this is every day. You go to the fresh market every day, and you talk to the locals. You might ask them how to cook something or what it is, or they'll cut you off a piece and let you try it right there, or we just been eating all kinds of different food.
Yeah, shopping and buying is different, and I've learned that you don't need to stock up. You don't need to get 2 weeks worth of groceries
That's true.
At a time, especially if you've got a market that's available to you. And also, I like to try new things. So that. We'll pass something on the street and I'll be like, what is that? I don't care what it is. I want to try it.
Did you try durian or something? You don't have a video of you eating durian?
We might have a video of me eating durian, which if any of you have not tried it, you need to try it one time. But
those snake fruits that we had, those were delicious. They looked like, oh my God, what is that? It looks like a snake skin, but it was delicious. And it's just been a lot of fun.
All kinds of different
foods,
potatoes and foods and fruits that we've never tried before.
Mhm.
So
Incredible foods.
it's great to be adventurous. And then this is again how we've changed, and I like being adventurous now. I like trying things that I've never tried before.
And I think the big change, though, is just, we were typical American consumers. We would go to Costco, we'd go out, with the giant cart with the big thing of pretzels, the big thing of, whatever, or, and a TV, in our cart. But now we walk to the grocery store, we buy what we can carry or we buy what we can eat in the next 2 days and we come home. So it's not like we're doing this weekly haul at the grocery store. We're doing what we can carry, which is not something because we don't have a car. We're doing it manually, manual labor on our food.
Oh my God, we're working so hard.
Okay, I think we beat that carrot stick
Yeah.
to death. Okay, number 4, your money's good here. So I think a lot of us have a lot of fear about how we're going to get money, where money comes from, what money looks like, how we're going to translate money, how we're going to use the currency, and so on. Right?
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. As soon as you land in a country, go to the ATM, get the local currency. That's the easiest way to get it. And a lot of places don't use credit cards like they use in the United States and in Europe. So make sure that you have cash available to you. And I used to be worried about, what's the conversion rate? How much is this really costing me? And what I've found is that once you get it, once you understand, like, the euro is pretty close to the dollar, or, the pound, or some of the other currencies.
The Thai baht is 5 times the dollar.
Yeah,
Right?
you come up with a little formula in your head, like whatever it costs, knock off a 0 and divide by 3, and that's how much it is in U.S.
See, but
dollars.
that's what you do. What I do is I try to figure out what the $20 bill is in the local currency. So, like, I don't know, in Vietnam, it was $1 million won.
It's funny how
Anyway,
forget.
exactly. And just 2
So,
weeks ago, we were trying different currency. But then, since I know what the amount of a $20 bill is, let's say 1,000 baht, then I can just look at something and know it's $20. Like I get $20 figure in my head and then kind of manage that locally. So I'm not dividing and adding and subtracting and so on. So
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. But I think the point is the point is that it's really not something you need to be concerned about. You get that quick formula, the way you do it, you figure it out very quickly, and then just go forward. Don't stress out about what things cost in other currencies.
So the change is we're not stressed anymore about currencies. And then we have 3 currencies in our life, which is another thing that's different. In the States, we had your cash and credit cards, and now we have cash, credit cards, and then another currency, and 2 other currencies well, I guess that's one currency. And then the 2 other currencies are we have credit card points. That's also a currency. So we're trying to price out hotels and things based on how many points it costs.
Right.
And then thirdly, we have the house sitting currency. If we stay at a house sit, we're saving money. We're not spending it on accommodation. So we're also, things are more than just dollars now. It's different ways to account for spending.
Yeah, I think that it's keeping us young, is in that we're constantly thinking about, what does this really cost? A good example is, we go on a cruise, and a cruise is taking care of our housing expense, is taking care of our transportation, is taking care of our food, is taking care of our entertainment. So it's like you have to like kind of do those mental conversions always, and it's fun.
So speaking of this mental conversions, we're going to talk about number 5, which is the blowing your budget question.
Yeah, blow the budget.
Yeah. So in the past, way back when, in our old days in Denver, Steve had his budget. Well, we didn't really have budget. Steve spent his money. I spent my money. We didn't combine accounts. We didn't even really think about a budget per se. I mean, we had our monthly fixed expenses, which was, a mortgage.
Yeah, you know what your housing expense is. You know what if you got a car payment, about what you spend on groceries. It's you have, your discretional income. And that was another thing, is I was working. So it was like, it didn't matter what the budget was because there was a check coming in every week. And that changes. Being retired and full-time traveling is like, oh, we're actually trying to stick to a budget now.
Right.
And a lot of it is, it's just the challenge of it, but also kind of being frugal minded, I guess. Yeah.
We set forward. And so next week, if you guys are tuning in this week looking for our annual budget spend, which we've been promising you for 2 weeks now, we are going to tell you next week what we spent in our second year of our Nomad life. We're still compiling all those numbers, but we didn't have necessarily but I mean we stayed within our spending, we didn't overspend and so on because we knew how much money we were making. But now we have a budget just for the goal and the challenge of trying to stay in a budget and kind of put some controls on our life a little bit. And now we have fixed expenses. I mean, we have, of course, we have to stay somewhere every night. Of course, we have to eat. Of course, we have to move around. But one month of our fixed expense of housing might be really small, but the next month it's really big, and vice versa, where if we're staying still, we don't have a lot of transit, but if we're moving around, we have a ton of transit. So we still have the same categories, but they fluctuate so differently than they did in the past.
Yeah, and it's something that we talk about, and we talk about like we're talking about here. We talk about it a lot of how we're spending our money and what we're spending it on because it like Chris says, it changes all the time.
So if you're somebody that is really particular about your categories and how much money you spend in your category right now in your life as a traditional living person in the US, that's going to change a lot, and it changes by country and it changes by week, and it's constantly changing. So anyway, that and then the fact that we're sharing an account now is also different. We actually had a conversation the other day where Steve thought that perhaps I might have spent too much money on shoes. All you ladies know, don't mess with our shoes. And we had never had a conversation like that ever before. Like, I bought money on shoes and didn't have any conversation with him. And so now we do. And it was a really interesting conversation about uh, our life and money and being in families with siblings and how much money your sister got for clothes and
I think
get for clothes. Or it was just really interesting.
Yeah, and the point that I'm making is that we're talking about things more now than we ever talked about before. It's like wasn't a topic of conversation, and now things like what we're spending money on is comes up when we're doing all our planning on.
And every month we go through our budget and kind of analyze where we spent money, which has always been really interesting.
Yeah.
And which you'll find out next week when we summarize all of our spending for 2023. By the way, subscribe so you get that alert about our big annual budget spend for 2023. Okay, speaking of dresses, number 6, say yes to the dress. What does that mean?
Okay, so I want to start this off because I'm wearing this really nice dress shirt, Brooks Brothers dress shirt, and I want you to know you'll never see this shirt again because it's going away. And so I got this shirt specifically when we were in Japan, knowing that we were going to be going on a cruise and there was going to be a couple of formal nights or fancy dress up nights, that I needed a nicer shirt, not something nicer to wear. And also because we were coming to the United States and going to a wedding and needed to look nice for that. But guess what? Now I'm done with it. So it's a really different kind of mentality of how our wardrobe has kind of become more temporary, I guess, for
disposable. Or disposable sounds really wasteful because I mean you got this at a secondhand store.
I did. So I'm being thrifty about it too because I knew I'm not going to spend $100 for a dress shirt if I'm only going to wear it 5 times.
I don't think we're being wasteful because we're buying something that already exists. They're not making us something new. So I kind of like if we go through a thrift store, we're.
But on the other side of that, the last shirt that I got was a nice blue Columbia. Like a camping, I guess, hiking,
functional
hiking
outdoor shirt.
I love Columbia's
products.
Mm-hmm. They're durable, the lightweight, stain resistant, easy dry.
I mean, the last Columbia shirt I got that for you for your birthday or something right before we left, and you wore that thing out. I mean, it was ready to go.
So, which is another thing. So you think about if you were to go into your closet right now and say, I want to be a full-time traveler. You go into your closet, you go like this. And this is how many clothes you have, and that's what you can take with you.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it is not going. So we've got a lot of things that we wear a lot, and we get tired of them, and they get stains.
Watch our video up here about how we pack our suitcases. Everybody's really excited about our special method.
I think we should do a new packing.
Yeah, I do too, because we have new clothes and new suitcases, but it's still the same method. We do the bundling method, which if you don't know what that is, watch the video.
But I was going to say one more thing, because I think that my wardrobe or what I have with me changes based on season and changes on where we're going.
We try to stay in 72 degrees, 22 degrees Celsius. And so that means we range from like 50 to 90. That's what our wardrobe is 50 to 90. The majority of our wardrobe, though, is shorts and t-shirts. So when we get to situations that we're going to be maybe in 50-degree weather for 3 or 4 weeks, we need more than one pair of pants. And so that's when we maybe rotate out some shorts and rotate in some pants by going to the thrift store or picking up something cheap at the local store.
And because again, we're two carry-ons,
right,
in a plan, two carry-ons. We have just limited space. You can't just keep adding things into your suitcase. There's just not enough room for it. So
last in, first out, or first in, last out.
It's like, okay,
take one, leave
this
one.
one's got to go. So I think clothing, again, I think about the kind of closet that I had and things that I hadn't worn in 5 years, but I love that shirt.
Or you had a special occasion, you would just go out and buy it, and then it would just stay in your closet for years. Number 7. Is there a doctor in the house?
Switching subjects completely. Yeah, let's go from dress shirts to healthcare.
Right. So we've got lots of videos. Just check the playlist for all of our medical care we've had in the world. Our fear, and this is how things have changed. Our fear when we were in the U.S. was we believed that medical care elsewhere is not good. You can't find it. It's difficult. You're not going to be able to get prescriptions. You won't be able to make appointments. Medical care is socialized everywhere, and you're going to have to wait 9 years to be able to get an appointment. And we had all these fears as Americans about medical care around the world. None of them are true. Not one of them. We have been able to find affordable care, easy care that's often and generally better than what we have found in the U.S. Same with dental care. We've been able to find wellness care as well. We find gyms all around the world, or we find outdoor parks to work out in, or YouTube to be able to do videos for yoga or whatever.
Yeah.
Healthcare and wellness have been far easier than we ever thought they were going to be. Far more affordable.
Yeah. And you can be purposeful about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're not going to the jungles of Borneo to get our teeth cleaned. We're going to places where there are, good dentists and good doctors. And we're using resources that are easy to use, going on to the expat groups on Facebook, looking at reviews, talking to people, and finding out, where's the good quality care.
Yeah. So
easy to find.
If you have any questions about any medical care we've had and prescriptions and getting prescriptions filled or surgeries or whatever, just watch the videos or ask questions below. Okay. Number 8. I'll meet you at the station. Right? Transit.
Davy Jones right here. The monkeys. So
how have we changed about transit?
So this is another area that it can get quite stressful.
Yeah.
And so I think is the way that we've changed is when we've relaxed a little bit, knowing that transit, and take a deep breath, knowing that getting from point A to point B is going to be a stressful day. It's going to be very tiring.
So you're talking about transportation. So transportation and transit. So like a travel day can be super stressful. And so our friends Brent and Michael over at Brent and Michael Are Going Places. Hi guys. They have a rule about travel days, and that is no one's to blame.
Right.
You can't I can't believe you didn't book the seats, or I can't believe you thought it was gate, whatever. There's no blaming on travel day because it's already stressful enough. So that's a good rule. But then on transit, that's also stressful. I mean, you get up in the morning and you're hungry and you've got to figure out how to get to the grocery store. And maybe the first thing you got to figure out is how to get on the bus. Well, then you got to figure out where the bus station is, and then what the schedules are, and then how you pay the bus driver, and then how you get on the bus, and then how you get off the bus. And it's like, I mean, just talking about it, my elevator goes away.
I know. My favorite example is recently we were in Japan. We had to go from Shingu to Yokohama. It was about a 3.5 hour, 4 hour train ride. And we went to the train station in advance the day before in Shingu, small town. And there was nobody at the actual ticket counter, but they have this vending. It's this whole, electronic machine, environment in Japan. And there was a woman there to help because we were looking at this machine and we didn't even know where to start. We told her, she asked us what we're doing, where we're going. We told her, and she starts punching
that must have been 20 button
tiles and flipping switches. Yeah. She was like, in the Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to that, man. And she came up with it, and she's like, okay, it'll cost. There's no way we would have figured that out without her being there. So there's people there to help. That's always,
And you can
it's
ask
always,
them.
you can always ask somebody to say, I don't know, can you help me with this?
And though, I mean, even in the States, we arrived in DC to Dulles, and I mean, this was karma, totally karma. Because like a lot of these cities that you go to, you had to buy some sort of metro card, and then we'd always end up with a little money left on the metro card. So we would go to the metro station and just give them to someone that looked like a traveler.
Yeah.
So karma came back to us. I don't know, we arrived at the metro
We're
station,
at
and
the
this couple
turnstile.
came out, and they're like, "Do you need?" So they gave us the
Yeah.
metro card, and we didn't know what the balance was. So anyway, so we go over to the machine, and we're trying to figure out how to add about, first of all, how much money
We
we
didn't know how
needed,
much was on it.
and then how much was on it, and how much we had. Anyway, we couldn't figure it out. I'm dummies. I mean, it's not like we haven't been to a metro station.
It's in English.
And it's in English, and it's dollars. One of the metro guys come over, and he's like, it seemed like the Japanese lady. It was, don't. Anyway,
Yeah.
the point is,
Don't stress out.
Don't stress out. I mean, do your best not to stress out about it. And it's okay to ask for help. I think in the past, we would be in Denver and we're like, and we'd use Google, and Google would be accurate and it would tell us what to do things. We also find Google is, she's a great resource and a good guideline.
That's not what you called her yesterday.
For Google generally will get us in the right places at the right times, but sometimes there's better tools and better questions to ask locally that maybe Google's not handling, and we're learning how to do that, and that's different too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
So thanks for hanging with us in this video. We've got one more, and this is my favorite one. Thank you for holding on. And this was my biggest fear that I had before we became full-time travelers, was that I was going to be lonely and isolated, and I would get depressed, and because I couldn't talk to other people and didn't have any friends. Social, what are we calling this
the
one?
Friends and family plan.
Friends and family plan.
Yeah.
We have got an incredible social life now, better than we ever. And
we're not lonely. I think for me, I mean, you had it more in the framework of friends and family and how am I going to have friends in social life. I was concerned we were going to be lonely and isolated, and that we would just have each other. I mean, we're together 24/7, which is fine. I love it.
Yes, honey.
Yes, honey. Anyway, I thought that we would be lonely and that we would get bored with each other, or just bored because we were only talking to each other. And that we were probably more bored and lonely together as a couple in Denver, because we worked and we had our family, and we were kind of isolated in our own little world, and we maybe talked to our neighbors and had our hiking friends and our biking friends, but not really a social life.
Right.
We had activities to do, but not a social life. Does that
Right.
make sense? Yeah. And now we're on virtual chats with people. We meet people locally. This week in DC, we've got 4 social events. Going out to dinner 3 times and hike 1 time, and
meetups and hiking, and we're going to parties, and
that's just not DC. I mean, that's been in every city we've been in. So that's been fabulous. So we meet those people through expat groups or social groups on Facebook or meetups or whatever. Or we have a friend that lives there now. We've certainly reached out to a lot of friends we haven't talked to in a while. I just had a friend reach out to us the other day. I hadn't seen her in 15 years or something. Yeah. She says, "Oh, you're in DC. Let's get together." So it was just fantastic.
So the secret is, if you want a great social life, sell everything and leave the country.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there. What fears do you have, and if you're a nomad, what changes have you gone through that you would like to share with us? We would love to hear them. Write comments below, subscribe, because next week, we promise you, we're going to tell you all our expenses for 2023. Talk to you then.